We have 4 of our current $1 Million Club members, and we have 4 of our up-and-coming, rising distributors, franchisors who are on their way to the $1 Million Club. And you're going to get to hear them ask questions and answer. So you get some of the people who have done it and gotten there fast, and you've got some of the people who are on their way right now doing it. Now, one thing is for certain, these people are some of the best duplicators in terms of duplicating what we do in this business, and are going to teach you how to do it. What we're going to do now is ask these guys some very serious questions. We're going to start off, and I'll pick one of you, and we'll move. I think we can. I know it's bright, but let's. All right, we ready? All right. What was? Let me go, Gary. What was your previous job or occupation before starting with Market America?
I was co-owner of a Gold's Gym and manager of several health clubs.
And how long have you been with Market America?
18 years now.
18 years.
18.
Okay, great. All right. Al, how about you? What did your previous occupation? How long? Let's ask that of everybody.
I was in prison.
You were in prison.
I worked at a prison.
You worked at a prison.
As an athletic director.
I'm glad we clarified
that.
All right. And how long have you been with the business, Al?
17 years, August 16th.
17 years. Beautiful. Amber?
I was a nutritionist, has been in the business 11 years.
11 years, great.
I was a legal secretary, contract administrator for the City of Boston Legal Department, and on October 21st, it'll be 21 years.
21 years, great, Elizabeth, they're good.
When I started, is it on?
Oops.
Is it on? Am I on?
We can hear you now, Benson.
Right. When I started the business, I was a freshman in Penn State University.
How old were you, Benson?
24 right now.
When you started?
When I started, I was 19.
19, great.
When I started, I was a junior in college and teaching dance and those kinds of things, and I've been in the business for 8 years.
For 8 years, okay.
My name is Shane Krangle. I served 8 years in the Marine Corps, and I have been a business owner now for over 3 years.
I owned a contracting company in Rochester, New York, and I've been with the company 4.5 years.
4.5 years, okay. Carl, let's stay over with you. How'd you get involved with the company?
We got involved with the company kind of by accident. We weren't looking for a business. We had 2 successful businesses. I was introduced to the company through the product OPC3. I was actually scheduled to have my left knee replaced, and one of my wife's clients suggested I try OPC3. 2.5 weeks after I started taking it, I was pain-free for the first time in 10 years. It was miraculous for me.
And then, so you started taking the product. How long before you sort of jumped into doing the business?
About a month went by, and my wife was telling everyone the results I had had, and they kept asking where they could get the stuff. So she came home one day and said, you know that product you take for your knee, there's a business associated with it. Would you like to go take a look at it tonight? I said, absolutely not. I'm not interested in that. But like most men, I have to do what my wife says. So she said, I said, we're going, so get dressed, you're coming with me.
I'll say, well, you're probably pretty glad she did now, right?
Best thing I ever did.
Best thing you ever did. Great. Shane?
Same question.
Let's go with the same question for a few people.
I got started a long time in front of our families, invited me over to their house. They were having a brunch for people at our church, Sharon Altman, I love you, and Brian Altman. And they overheard me say, I wanted to be a millionaire before I'm 30, and I'm going to figure a way how. Now, as a Marine, I only made $30,000 a year. I don't know how that was possible, but Sharon, who knew me since I was a baby, and my family forever, came over and asked me for my telephone number. And I said, Mrs. Altman, you're married. But I gave her my number, and she invited me over to Jim's, and I saw the business from him, and I started because I love the Marine Corps, but I was getting burnt out, and I saw a lot of very average people creating very successful businesses with this business, and I was excited about that.
Great.
This is a hard one. When we first got started with the business, it wasn't because we were looking for something or we wanted some career or anything. We were in a complete need situation. I was a junior in college, and I was completely in love with my now husband, Ryan, and we found out that we would be expecting our first child. And that's really scary when you're 19 years old and you're studying music and dance, and your significant other is studying music. So I was really lucky that one of our professors cared enough about us and said, you guys, you need to start thinking about taking care of the family you're about to have. And this isn't going to cut it, being a kid and making $8 an hour. So they invited us to check out the plan. We did. And I don't know where we'd be if he didn't ask us to take a look.
So I got started the business after my brother, which is sitting right there, Michael Chen. He came back after visiting Olivia Lee, which is a director right now, also sitting right there. New York church, came back Sunday morning, woke me up and said, we're gonna be rich. And he said, I'm gonna show you this plan. When I was sleeping, he showed me the plan. He said, what do you think about it? I said, no, all right? And it's been 2 years that he followed up on me again and again and again. So I decided to come to the international convention. Only reason was because, first of all, the ticket was free. Second, I get to skip school. So I came, checked out the business. He didn't talk to me for 4 straight days because I was so skeptical with the business. 4th day, he asked me and said, what do you think about the business? I said, sign me up. I'm ready to go.
Great, great. Before I get to you, Elizabeth, I want to go back to you, Sarah. Can you grab that again? I know you and I were talking before we came out, and you said one of the hardest things when you were starting is that you really wanted to get started, and the person who ended up sponsoring wouldn't start you. Is that correct?
Yeah. Actually, yes. We went and saw an HBP, and when you go around the room and you have to introduce yourself, we were like, why are you here? What are you looking at this for? And I'm like, well, I'm pregnant. I'm a student. I have no money, and I don't even know how I'm going to pay my heat bill. And they were like, we don't want that girl on our team. And he refused to sign me up for months. For months, they made me go to meetings, and one of the tasks that he gave me was, hey, if you can show up with a planner, one of those calendars, and that would be one of the tasks. I had to jump through hoops until Gary finally was like, dude, what are you doing? Sign these people up. They want to do this. They're serious. They're showing up. They're doing everything you're asking. But yeah, they wouldn't. We were the least likely to succeed, and to the point where they didn't even want us on our team.
Great. Big mistake on their part. Elizabeth?
Well, I was always looking for a way, to make it big, always. I tried 9 different multi-level marketing companies over an 11-year period, worked my butt off. I really tried a lot more than that, but I worked hard in 9 different companies with little to no success. So I had a lot of experience, and I always worked hard, and Bobby Canada called me one night because he had tried all the companies that I had tried, including fingernails, everything. I got him to do everything. So he said, I've done everything. I've looked at everything you've asked me to look at. Would you please evaluate this business for me? Please, just evaluate it. And it took me a while to finally set a date to go evaluate it. And so that evaluation approach is critical. It's great, because if he had used the direct approach on me, I would have never looked at it.
So he didn't really ask you to look at it for you. He just said, come
Well,
evaluate it. 'Cause he was doing it,
Yeah.
and you probably knew he was doing it.
No, I really
No,
didn't.
you didn't.
He's like, I really trust your judgment. I really want, just look at Elizabeth. I know that it's not something that, but I
Very
want you to
smooth,
look.
Bobby. Nice.
Yeah, I know. Well, now I know. And when I was looking at it, he's going, and I could see that it was radically different than anything else I had ever seen. I got really excited, which in turn made him really excited, and the rest is history.
Great. And we're glad.
Well, 11 years ago, my life was a mess. 2 very young kids, living parents. My dad was sick with cancer. On top of that, we were broke. And so I rented my basement out. And it is illegal in New York, but I couldn't care. I needed money. So one day, Michael came home, said the tenant is doing some home-based business. So I went down right away, asked her, and what do you do? And she said, it's a products brokerage company. I said, where's your warehouse? She said, I don't have one. I said, it's illegal. She said, yes. And the rest is a history.
Well, I was one of those guys that loved what I did. I was an athletic director in the prison system. I mean, I went to work in shorts and played basketball, shot pool, listened to music, had bands, all kinds of stuff. So I enjoyed, plus my wife enjoyed being a teacher. So Bonnie Gallagher, I guess fortunately and unfortunately, every Sunday I felt like she was stalking me because every Sunday we were playing on a co-ed softball team, and she kept trying to tell me, I'll be good at this. She used a direct approach. You like money? I said, Bonnie, no, it's one of those Amway pyramid businesses. I'm not interested. So for 4 months it went on, and one Sunday she found my weakness, a cold beer and some food. You got to do what you got to do to get people to look at, what they're excited about. So, I decided to take a look at it, and I invited the rest of the team with me, and the other one that showed up was Ronnie Robinson. And the only reason why he came, because he was my neighbor, and he wanted food, and I was the only one that paid attention. And so as soon as I seen it, I said, man, I'm in. So I looked at my wife, and she was like, whatever money you put in, make sure you get back. And she went up to Bonnie and told Bonnie that. So
I can't see little
the rest
Debbie
is history.
doing that.
Yeah.
That's great, Al. We're so glad you're here, buddy. Gary?
I worked my way up, but not that high in the health and fitness industry. And after 15 years, and then finally becoming a co-owner of a facility on Main Street, Gold's Gym, I was maxing out at a take-home of about $700-800. That's after 15 years of doing something I loved. It was fun, but it was getting pretty dumb. So one of my buddies, who was a good friend of mine, Scott Allstetter, came in, and he was always showing me something. He was running MLMs by me, and it always looked ridiculous to me, but I humored him, and then he would go away. And he tried a different approach with me. He brought in a product. He brought in Thermochrome 5000, and he gave up on me being a business partner and all that. And to me, it was another one of those things. But I figured the path of least resistance was, I'll put it on the shelf, it'll disappear, and he'll disappear too, and all will be well. He convinced me to look at the business, and I again humored him, and I blew it off. But the truth was, I told him I was too busy, but the truth was I was way too busy being broke. And about 3 months later, I got a 2x4 on the head. My landlord/partner raised my rent about $3,000 a month in the summertime, retroactively from the beginning of our partnership. And it effectively ended my career. It effectively ruined my future. And really, I realized, this is stupid. Grow up and make money. Scott, show me that thing you have there. And I looked at it that time, and I looked at it closer. I'm like, oh my God, this looked like a bucket of rainbows and unicorns and lollipops. This can't possibly be true. You're telling me $2,100 a week, working 10 hours from home at my pace with the people I want, and here I am trapped in this 80-hour a week gig that I have my name on a door, and I'll lose my house if I blow it. It just didn't make any sense. But I had no other choice but to give it a try, and I just chased $300 checks, and here we are.
Great. Benson, I wanted to come back to you. We were talking in the back, and one of the things I'd asked you was how long it took from the time you first saw it to the time you got started.
So I first saw the business, just like I said, Michael came back, showed me everything he knew from the 2-hour presentation on a piece of paper on my bed. Turned around and said, I'm not interested. Second time I saw the plan, I was in New York with Olivia and also Manny showing the plan. And I still remember I was wearing my big jerseys, my baggy jeans, my Yankee hats, bubble tea, and I was sitting there just being very skeptical. At the end of the presentation, they asked me, what interests you the most? I said, $3,600 every single week. But I didn't believe in the business, and believe it or not, Michael actually went to convention after convention after convention. I still remember there was once he came back from Miami conference, and in Pennsylvania, it was just snowing really bad, called me and said, would you pick me up at the airport? I just came back. I said, it has nothing to do with me. Good luck. I'll see you at home. And that was how negative I was. I would throw his products away, dump his calcium, and say, stop doing this. It doesn't work. You're just wasting your time and money. But
you weren't very nice, Benson. No.
But you know what, Jim? I thank Michael every single day for bringing me to this convention back in 2008 because he changed my life.
So it took you
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
How many of you would wait 2 years to have this young man on your team? It'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? Shane, I know I know, Sarah, it took you about 6 months because they wouldn't let you in, right? Is what you basically said, which was a big mistake on their part. Shane, how about you? How long from when you looked at it to when you got started?
Saw it at Jim and Lisa's, and from there went to the UBP that night to get more information. And then I think a couple days later, I saw the value in it right away. The biggest thing that Jim asked me for the first time that I had never really thought about is he mentioned, do you make what you're worth? And as a Marine, no. And I saw the potential with that, so yeah. And I tell people this, if Sharon and Brian had waited an extra week to register my business and had not pushed me to go faster, I got in a car accident 10 days later, and I had to borrow money to pay for it because I had used the other money to start my business. And I always think of what if they had waited, I wouldn't have started because I would have used that money and I probably wouldn't be here today, honestly.
Glad you are. You know, with what Shane said, but for our military forces that are here, I don't think any of them are paid probably what they're worth. But we appreciate you so much. If you would stand up so we could give you a quick round of applause for anybody from our military forces, it would be great. Thank you. Very cool. Yeah. Now, Carl, I don't know with you how long from the time you saw it to you started.
When my wife actually finally dragged me in front of that business plan, it was actually Andy Dokas who showed it to me 4.5 years ago. And I saw the business plan, and halfway through it, I told my wife, this is genius. We could do this with our eyes closed. And after we got done, I looked at her and said, if he can make $500,000 a year, imagine what we can do. We registered that night. Just kidding.
Beautiful. That's perfect. So very quick.
Yeah, that evening, I believe.
That evening.
We didn't see much to
So we
wait
had
for.
2 years, 6 months, couple days, that evening pretty much. Isn't that interesting? How about Elizabeth?
All right, this is funny. Because the company was brand new and I was really nervous, I wanted to make sure that the company was going to be in business. So I held back my application until I had 5,000 BVs on the left and 5,000 BVs on the right. And when I registered, I became an executive coordinator.
I love that. Now, Elizabeth,
True
you and I were talking too. Right, you went to a major event pretty soon after that, right? It was one of our majors.
Yes.
How big was your
My
first
major event, and I'll never forget it. It was at the Marriott Airport, and there were 46 people.
46.
46.
And that was like a
Yeah,
this.
that was like this. 46
Only
people.
smaller.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that amazing, guys? Think of the belief she had to have with only 46 people in it, and what we all have right here in front of us with 20,000 people sitting here and over 300 plus in the $1 Million Club.
It took me a month finally enrolled, and I have the perfect reason to start a business. One, I need the products and the wholesale price. Second is tax benefit. I did my homework, but still, I waited for a month. You ask me why, I don't know. And that's why follow-up is so important, because in that month's period, all my focus is my current situations. Full-time job, kids are very young, living parents. My plate is already full. I'm keeping asking myself, really, should I get another thing on my plate, another thing? You know, people do not want more responsibilities or commitment. So the true purpose of follow-up is shift your prospect's attention or focus from current situation to future possibilities. That's what we need to do. You understand? That's why we need to follow up. And finally, I said, what the heck? You know, what if I made it? What if she's right? In 2 to 3 years, I will make 2,100. That's gonna totally change my life. So months later, I said, sign me up.
Great, 1 month.
That's it.
One
One
month,
month.
great. Al, how about you?
Well, first I had to get Debbie's permission.
Absolutely.
She just said, look, you know, as long as you get your money back and you put my name on the application, but don't ask me to help you. She says, I'm raising 2 kids and I'm raising you.
And
So,
the second one's a big job.
Yeah. So yeah, as soon as I saw it, I still remember today, Ronnie looked at me and, you know, he laughed. He thought, you know, because I was there for $300. I just said, well, I'm driving a beat-up hoopty van, just showed me how to make $300, a month to get a different car. I had no clue the vision on what it could give me. And, Ronnie, I still, he'll even say today, that $300 that Big Al wanted to make didn't impress him because $300 extra when he was already working. So I said, look, I'm in. So
Great. Gary, how long for you? How long from when you first saw this till you got started?
Oh, I think I might have answered that. 3 months.
3 months
Yep.
it was, 3 months. Okay, so interesting, isn't it? Everyone had a little bit different way of doing it. Now, I think one of the most important things for people to understand is what happened when they started. How hard did we work to get this thing going? Elizabeth, why don't I start off with you? Your first, let's not go month, but first year in the business.
Well, at that first event, I came home and quit my job of 18 years because we didn't have an NMTSS. You know what I mean? So I had to quit my job. So my back was against the wall, and everybody was laughing at me. Nobody I knew would listen to me because I had lost all my credibility. So I had to make it work. So I went out early in the morning, and I didn't get home till late at night, and I talked to people that I did not know. That's how I built my business, because the people that knew me. And so I just talked to everybody, and I believe what's measured gets done. So my commitment was to talk to 20 people a day, and I didn't go to bed until I talked to 20 people a day. And I did that for 9 months.
And at the end of 9 months.
I was at, I know I was at field vice president in 14 months.
Field vice president is $36,000 to $45,000 in a
I haven't worked that hard since.
But
I'm ready to do it again. Okay.
Good. All right. Amber, you want to go ahead?
Well, when I started this business, we couldn't afford to get a second car. So from my home to job, I take public transportation. That's 35 minutes one way. I worked very hard. I mean, very, very hard. 7 nights of a week, I was out because I couldn't work. I work in Flushing. I live in Bayside. I didn't have time to go back home, so I was just staying in Flushing. I use every single bakery in Flushing area. Luckily, Chinese love bakery. There are lots of bakery stores. And, but it took me 3 years to walk away from my job, never work again.
Well, Bonnie did the smart thing. I got started in August 16th of '96, and just accepted a coaching job at a high school. So I was excited about that because, again, she didn't sell me the vision of the company. She just said, what if? I could show you a way to make an extra $300 after I seen the plan. So it wasn't until November 4th, she said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm getting ready for basketball. She said, well, can you go Saturday to see the CEO at a district rally in University of Maryland? And I said, sure. She said, well, your weakness is food and beer. What's Debbie's weakness? I said, well, I don't think she'll go. I said, but, all women like to shop, So she said, well, let's tell Debbie we'll take her shopping after the seminar. And, it's important to get to events. And, she wasn't impressed with JR. She thought, who is this guy, man? Come on, man. I'm a teacher. What's he selling? She wasn't listening. She was grading papers at a seminar. But it wasn't until recognition, that was the one nugget, that a couple named Rachel and Shane Patterson walked across the stage making money at 18, 19 years old. And Debbie says, hey, if they can do it, she looked at me and she says, Alan, I think we can do this, because she don't call me Big Al.
Gary, how much, when you talked about where you were at financially starting off, when you started this, how many nights a week did you go out? How hard were you working?
Well, once I knew what I had my hands on, I got my first $300 check, and you never saw anybody, no grown man, as excited as I was over $300. And all I wanted was, how do I make this happen again and again and again? So it occupied really all of my thoughts all the time. And all of a sudden, I didn't hate work anymore because I was so excited about the other source of income that I was controlling. And so it was pretty much every time I had a few minutes in a day and I could get somebody off to the side, or I could sneak out and make a phone call, or I could grab a lunch, It was scattered. There was no really routine because I had to fit it around my business. And then if I could get out early at night, that's when we showed the plan. And it started out as, one-on-ones, two-on-ones, not knowing what we were doing. We didn't really have much, we didn't have any evidence of success. But we had enthusiasm, and we went after everybody just to get them to see it. My whole mantra was, I'm going to get them to see it. I'm going to get them to see it. And it's just really started steamrolling. And then we started going from house to house in groups. And that started becoming 2 and 3 nights a week minimum. And that's a real challenge to work that in when that time wasn't there before anyway. But man, is it worth it.
All right. And how long before you walked away from your gyms?
About the 8th month, I got that check with the $300 check and the $600 check, and it came in one check of $900. And it was the single biggest check that anyone had ever written to Gary Rogers in my life. And something's happening here, it's going like that. And I surprised my wife on New Year's Eve and told her that I'm done with what actually was a 16-year career, but I'm like, I'm done, I can't do it anymore, I'm gonna go work it out and get out of the gym. And so that would have been a total of 10 months. And that's way too early to quit your career. But you know what, I believed in this, and Elizabeth got me to go to my first big event, which is in Tyson's Corner, and the billionth of a volt went off. I think Shane said it also, I saw people like, it's happening for them. Why can't it happen for me? And I walked out of there, and this was my career. I'm a lifer. This is it. This is all I'll ever need. And it turned out to be true. And then I got serious about it.
Great. Let's go over to, these guys have all done it. They put in that hard work. Many of them live the lives people wish they could live on a daily, weekly, and yearly basis now. Let's go move over to our group of the ones who are on their way there, and let's ask them the same question. Benson, you've been in the business now a few years. You've grown to professional coordinator. How hard are you still working at it? How many nights a week? How much time do you put in right now? Yeah. And when you started, similar.
So when I started, in Penn State, the closest UBP or any training system that we had is 2.5 hours away, one way. So we'll get home at UBP at 1, and people would say we were crazy. And every single weekend.
So you drive 2.5 hours, each way to go to a UBP.
And there was only 1 to 2 UBP per month. And we didn't have an MTSS, didn't have a kickoff, or nobody showed up at the kickoff because we couldn't even show the plan right. Now, every single weekend, we were in New York. Every single weekend. The first year, we traveled to New York 44 times.
How far is that?
4.5 hours one way.
4.5 hours one way, you did 44 times.
44 times the first year. And, second year, 42 times. And people say, crazy, why would you do this? Now, we're still doing that today. Monday through Friday, we either have training, kickoffs, duplication, appointments going on, and then weekends, people in Flushing, they see us all the time. They thought we live in Flushing, and we will get home Sunday night, Monday morning, 1, 2 a.m. A lot of people have classes. A lot of people have work at 5, 6 a.m., but it just takes hard work.
And you're doing it. You're doing great.
That's it.
Congratulations. Yep.
So when we first got started, we were really green on the vine, to say that, the least, and we were running around like crazy people with chickens with their heads cut off. I mean, we made every mistake. Nobody would take us seriously. We were kids. We were artists. We were hippies. We were unqualified for the unfranchised, and we made so many mistakes, and we got so beat up that we just stopped doing it altogether for almost 2 years. And I remember telling Ryan, listen, I'm sick of you going out showing the plan because you never follow up with anyone, so you're just wasting my time. You're not following up, so what's the point of you wasting, one random night every once in a while to go show a random plan that you're not going to follow up with? That's why our business isn't growing. And I told him, I said, look, if you don't change something, if we don't change something together, I'm going to call the company tomorrow and cancel. And he called Gary. Remember that? He called Gary. They made an action plan, and we got smart. We got regular with our scheduling, and we got serious about our commitment because you can't just run around and just do random things and plant seeds and not follow up, because nothing ever grows from that. And we realized that the hard way. We wasted so many years learning that the hard way. And so now we show the plan on webinar every Wednesday, and there's home business presentations regularly, almost every single day of the week, happening either at our place or Josh's place or Derek's place or in Plattsburgh or wherever our leaders are, and we just funnel our people in there. We work really hard. We're not done. We have a long way to go, and so it is unicorns and lollipops. Like when you look at it, it's beautiful, but when you're in it, and you just have to accept it and just do the work.
Great.
For the first year, I did a lot of one-on-ones and really took it upon myself to try to do it my own way. And I got put in a position where I had to really match my military income. And I remember sitting at my table, and I'm like, I've got to make this work. And I sat down and I stood up and I was like, I decided for the first time that this was going to be my income and my future. And it was the biggest weight had been lifted off my shoulders because I just had focus on what I wanted to accomplish. And Jim called me and said, you're not doing HVPs. You're not leveraging your time. You're trying to do your own thing. And so he made me book HVPs, and we moved home to home to home, and we're still moving home to home. We have 29 HVPs in our team in the next 30 days. And we're doing it the right way. We're going back to the basics. And I'm telling you, it takes a lot of work, but you're going to help so many people along the way. You're going to be tired. Merlin and I would get home at 1 in the morning, going 2 hours north to show the plan to one person. We're like, are we crazy? You know, what are we doing? We just kept the faith, and we realized it was a 2 to 3 year plan. If it hasn't happened, keep going, but also make sure that you're building in the homes and doing it the right way.
That's phenomenal. I have to be honest. When we first saw that plan and I said we could do it with our eyes closed, I really meant my wife Jody could do it with her eyes closed. And in the beginning, she really did. I can't take credit for it. I wish I could. She built the business, and she was really good at it. She was showing the plans, and she was working hard at it. And I knew she was making some money, and I was supportive. I would go to all the events. And I knew she was making $300 checks and $600 checks. And then I came home early one day and I happened to get the mail, and I saw a Market America check, and I opened it up, and it was $1,200. And I remember I asked her, when did these checks get commas in them, and why isn't my name on them? And that was really what got me hooked, and we both dove into it then, and we started building this business together. And you know as well as I do, Jim, this is not easy in the beginning. It's hard to get this business up and running, but man, is it worth it. So you just got to put in the efforts. We did the HBPs, we did the corings, we leveraged the events. We never missed a major event. We show up at everything, and that's really what made it happen.
Great. You know, isn't it great to hear the same thing that has turned these people? I was sitting here, I was trying to add in my mind, but I'm guessing there's 35 to 40 million, maybe 30 to 35 million dollars of earnings sitting right here. Is the same thing these guys are doing 15, 16, 17 years later that they did. It's the same way. It's just easier with all the technology and all the things we have to do it now. A computer, right. Let me ask you guys a question. You know, we all talked about how hard we were working, right? For you guys who have been around a while, and Elizabeth, you can start. Let me ask this. Was that, when you were working hard, was it also one of the best times of your life?
Oh, yes. When you're in the game, when you're working, that's when I'm the happiest. I'm the happiest. If I'm down one day, which is rare, I show the plan.
And you feel better.
And I feel great. I love showing the plan.
I enjoy every single second in the past 11 years while building this business.
I love what I do. And I know my wife sometimes, you know, gets irritated with me, but, you know, when you can change people's lives and change your life yourself and then leave a legacy for your grandkids, I'll do this. I can't imagine what they'll bury me in. I mean, there'll be all kinds of stuff, but I just love what I do, and I'll never quit doing this business. It's so much fun.
I just came back from, I took about the last 7 weeks off, and it ended right here at convention, and work. And I snuck downstairs in a hotel in Switzerland a couple weeks ago to get on the conference call. I missed it, and towards the end of this last month, I just couldn't wait to get back to it, you know, really like full on, because nibbling at this is no fun. It doesn't get the results, and it's no fun. It's that when you put your whole heart into it, and you get behind your people, that's when it's a blast. That's when it feels great.
Great. And you guys are on the grind right now. You're making it happen. Tell me, how do you enjoy while you're doing it?
How many guys have a 45-year plan right now? Can you show hands? Don't make this another one. Have fun with the business. You attract the right people. You know, smile. You attract the right people. So just don't make this another 45-year plan. You'll hate what you do. It's a 2 to 3 year plan, and at the end of the day, it's gonna set you free, period.
I think it comes down to two things for me that I'm just so completely grateful for. My best friends in the entire world that know me, that love me, that we go on vacation with, April, Emily, Jess, Justine, all the girls, Christine, we call her Mercedes, we go on vacation together. They're not even in my group. My best friends are in this business, and I met them here, and I'm so lucky to have people that know me and love me. And the second thing I want to say is that I raise my kids presently with my husband. Like, we are present in their lives. We are not just in the same room. We are present in their lives, and we do that together.
Like everybody says, the time freedom's incredible. My best friends are in this business. You can recruit your best friends into the business too. And you get to really, I'm only 27. I haven't had a job in a year and a half. And I don't know where else you can do that. Walk away from a profession. I was in LA. I decided, I wasn't only going to go 2 days. I decided to stay 5 days because I didn't have a job I had to go do. We could have fun. We can do what we want. It's about living the lifestyle, but it's also about the time freedom that you can choose who you want to spend time with, like we say, but also choose what you want to do with your life. And you can't put a price tag on that with the time freedom.
We've just had a blast doing it, and again, I think you always have to remember, it doesn't matter how great Elizabeth is, Big Al, Gary, Amber, or any of us. Without our team, we've got nothing. This is a team sport, and we love our team, and without them, we've got nothing. I want to thank you guys, and just have fun doing this. It's all social.
Great. That's the thing for the newer people here. I wanted you to hear. I think for any of us who have built this, it was the best times of our life while we're doing it. Because if you have to call this work, boy, it's a great, great way to work. But there's challenges in anything too that you do. And Gary, if you wouldn't mind, so what was your biggest challenge in the business as you started?
My biggest challenge is that we didn't have any evidence of it being real. And so we had to create something out of nothing. And people looked at me like I had two heads. And the odds of someone coming on board with me was quite low at the time, maybe 1 out of 10. I would go anywhere to make it happen. I would drive 7 hours one way to show the plan sometimes and come back with nothing. So a lot of time, you come home time after time without having the results to show for it. It puts pressure on you and the family and with everyone's belief in what you're doing. So really was, I guess, the lonely at the top kind of a feeling, knowing where you're going and no one else quite knows where you're going, and they don't buy into it yet.
Okay, great. What I want to do, because we're going to close this segment out, I want to ask these guys, each one of them, and you have to give me a relatively quick answer for a time standpoint. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
We won't take our foot off the gas till we're executive field vice president.
Executive field vice president, awesome.
I have the number always in my head. 5 years from now is 100,000 a month. That's where I want to go, and I want to have 20 directors in each leg. That's my goal.
Same thing, executive, field vice president, bigger house, bigger property on a lake with my kids.
5 years, I will be a field vice president, changing thousands of people's life.
I see myself helping 300 other people get to be on the $1 Million Club.
Michael and I are working on two things in our organization. One is we want to create more $1 Million Club members. Currently, we have 3. We're going to increase another 10. Another thing is we're going to create more monthly $300 money owners.
5 years now, basically just continue to sell the vision on where this whole company's going, getting people to believe in JR and the corporate team and what you guys continue to keep doing for us. I mean, this weekend, 17 years. This weekend, this is, again, I don't know how you all keep doing it.
New company.
It's incredible.
New opportunity and new
and
you.
It's a new big daddy.
It's a very symmetrical vision. I see it in my mind, and I've drawn it out so many times. I'm a field vice president, And I'm so deep with directors and executive directors and people making more money than me under me, 4 deep on each side, just 4 teams, and that's it. I'm done as deep as I can possibly go. And it all runs completely without me. I'm totally irrelevant and obsolete, but I know I won't be able to keep away from it. I'll have to keep on working it.
Great. All right, thank you guys so much. We are so proud of each and every one of you for what you did helping these people.